Welcome back to the Growth Colony podcast. I'm Alex Hipwell with xGrowth. Today on the show we have Andrea Dixon, DocuSign's Marketing Director for APAC, Natalie Mendes, Head of Account-Based Marketing from SaaS, Shahin Hoda, the Director of Growth from xGrowth, and they're joining a panel moderated by Nina Christian, the Victorian State Chair of the Australian Marketing Institute. We've got a deep dive into account-based marketing for you on the show today. You might have heard people talking about account-based marketing by the water cooler. Maybe you read about it on a blog or even heard about it on a podcast. You might know account-based marketing is around, but has anyone been able to give you a succinct definition of what it actually is? Today, we're going to answer all of your account-based marketing questions. Let's dive right in.
Hey, so I think I can take it from here. Is that right? Yeah, awesome. So thank you so much. And yeah, on behalf of the Australian Marketing Institute as well, I'd just like to say thank you to Shahin and all the team at Growth Colony for having us. It's fabulous that we can do events like this tonight. Very, very exciting. Yeah, we are just in for such a treat tonight. It's just going to go off, honestly. Like, of the questions that I've got, the chats that I've had with our speakers, knowing Shahin, it's going to be fabulous. So I'll do a very, very quick, 20-second, just on behalf of the Australian Marketing Institute to say that we run a whole bunch of events and things like that and services for members and emerging marketers programs. If you're a young marketer, now's a great time to get involved with the Australian Marketing Institute because we're just about to launch our 2020 mentorship program. And so that's an opportunity for you to be taken under the wing of a very senior marketer who will help you in your career. And I very much watch this space. I won't say anything too much more about that because there's lots of events this year that we can share more of the exciting things that are happening. But for today, I would like to welcome up our wonderful panel. So first we have Andrea Dixon, yes, who's head of APAC at DocuSign. We have Natalie Mendes. I feel like it's the new prices right here. Please give Natalie a hand. And the wonderful Shahin, who you all know. Please, double round of applause, please. What I'm going to do tonight is go on a bit of an exploration mission. I'm going to really unpack what's going on inside these guys' brains, especially when it comes to account-based marketing. And I guarantee you there are no better in the business to be sharing with you the principles tonight than Shahin, Natalie and Andrea, because I've been in this space for a long time. I engage with a lot of marketers at all levels, and I can attest to you that these guys really know their stuff. And they're not just going to talk to you about what it is, they're going to go deep and they're going to educate you, inform you and give you insights, and probably the most interesting of all, give you foresight as well around what you need to do to really get an edge in this space. So I really, really encourage you to, catch all that you can because it's a very unique opportunity that, can help your business, your career, etc. So with all that said and done, I think we're ready to get into it.
I'm nervous now.
Really? I've talked you up. I've talked you up. So let's start by introducing, letting our panel just introduce themselves. Just give you a high level overview of who they are and what they do, and just a brief overview of their journey and how they got into this space. Shahin.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So my name is Shahin. It's a tricky name. Shah, because Australia. For short, but we run a agency that focuses on account-based marketing, and we pretty much everything that we do is in account-based marketing. We work mainly with IT companies and technology service providers. So anything from traditional IT to analytics, security, all that vertical is what we work with, and so ABM is pretty close to heart, and super excited to be doing this talk.
Absolutely. Natalie?
Yeah, so Nat for short. I am originally a geek, so working for a software company. My background is a data scientist, and I have probably grown into this space from being a pre-sales technical person, selling to customers. So originally I'm a salesperson, which then it seems like the natural journey was to go into marketing, being out on the customer side, understanding customers. And I found myself accidentally doing ABM, and then my boss said, "You're doing ABM and you're going to implement it into the company." And so here I am, a 4-year journey has become a global implementation at SAS for ABM. And I have to say, I was so excited to meet Shahin because there's not many people in our space here in Australia that talk our language. So it's pretty cool. And also Andrea tonight.
We geek out a little bit, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Panel of geeks. So Andrea Dixon, Head of Marketing for APAC at DocuSign. I've been there 12 months. I guess my career's been in software, in SaaS. So I guess my mantra has always been quality over quantity. So I've naturally ended up doing a lot of account-based marketing for the last 10 years or so, working with enterprise. Being at DocuSign, we try to make the word more agreeable, but it's a challenge as a marketer because our audience is every business that sends an agreement. So trying to have a focus is a challenge for us. So that's where account-based marketing comes in, and something I'm personally very passionate about.
Well, that's a great place to start. So I'm going to start with the really obvious question. You probably know what account-based marketing is, but you're going to hear it from these guys because they're on the coalface of it. So this is not a Merriam-Webster definition. This is a definition from people who do this day in, day out. Shahin, what's account-based marketing?
I think the one-liner that I give is basically allowing to land larger deals faster and close them faster. But I think there are probably like 5 core elements to it. It's approaching marketing and business strategy with personalization, alignment of sales and marketing. What else do we have? Now I'm blanking. That's not a good start. Alignment of sales and marketing and targeted accounts. And you got to help me out with a couple more.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I always say what ABM is not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
maybe I'll just pass it on to you then, and you can complete.
I just say it's not about lead generation, because we're always targeting revenue, relationship, and reputation. So we're identifying key people. We don't want to, because salespeople are always like, "Oh, they're crap leads you're giving us." So it's all about the quality, and also sales collaboration. If you're not working with sales, it's not ABM. And also, if your customer's getting the same message as everyone else and it's not personalised, then it's not ABM. That's my principles.
I love it. And it's also, I think, that one of the main component, I think you covered the 4th one. And the last one, which for me is really important, is that it's a strategy, not a marketing campaign, right? It really requires buy-in from the larger side of the organization rather than this is a marketing department thing.
Yep. Yeah, and we're going to get into that as well, looking at how an organisation can actually embrace and utilise and maximise ABM. So, Nat, what would you say, just to build on what Shahin said? I know you explained what it's not, but are there any other things that you talk about as the core principles of what you would put under the umbrella of ABM?
Yeah, definitely around making sure we are aligned with sales. So our metrics and measure are always around relationships, reputation and revenue. So all our metrics, when we go about setting up a program, that's what we set first, and we're always aligned with the sales KPIs as well.
Okay, so this was a question I was going to have later in there, but I'm going to bring it up to the top because it's on point. Sales and marketing alignment and ABM. So when we're talking about that, how do you differentiate the role of sales and marketing, and when we're working as account-based marketers, where does the marketing end and the sales begin, or what is the journey that they take together, and what are the differing roles within the ABM process that each play?
Yeah, big question. To me, I guess account-based marketing, it's focus and having a plan, a joint plan. So we have shared targets with our sales team and the marketing team, and it's a journey, and it's educating the sales team and the rest of the business that it's a journey and it's an always-on campaign, and it's not just marketing's job to deliver the leads and hand it to sales. Here's your leads. It's what are the challenges in this account? Where can we add value? Where are they at in the funnel? How can we educate those contacts to convert? A term that we refer to a lot, I guess, with account-based marketing is human to human, and thinking of it, putting yourself in the customer's shoes and trying to understand where are they at and what's the next best step, or what do they need from us to convert or to progress in their journey to becoming a customer.
Yeah, I think what I'll definitely add over there as well is, with traditional marketing, what you see is there are these stages, right? They would say you got a lead, then marketing's job is to get them qualified. So you get MQL's marketing qualified lead, and traditionally was, all right, I'm going to now hand this over to sales for sales to say, these are SALs, sales accepted leads, and then sales qualified leads, and then so on and so forth, where you have a very sharp cutoff period or a cutoff at the MQL, right? Yeah. I've handed my MQLs in, and I'm done. Where with ABM, it's more of a spectrum that so if you look at it as a box, right, and previously it was like I come to MQL and this is a hard stop, and then sales, this hard stop becomes a bit more tilted, meaning that at the beginning marketing's work is probably a little bit more, and as the whatever you want to call it, account or prospect goes through that process, the job as marketing reduces and the role of sales increases. But marketing is still present.
Absolutely. And that's ever prevalent with the changing role of marketing, not just expanding and touching on sales alignment, but across all facets of the business now, from customer service delivery, every aspect of the business is now touched by marketing. And so obviously that has to factor into any ABM strategy. It's just the role of marketing is going to be different. Andrea?
Yeah, absolutely. Something I say to our entire organisation at every all hands is, everyone works in marketing, whether you know it or not. Everyone touches and interacts with that customer, whether it's a social media post, whether it's a phone call, an actual campaign that we send out, or an event. Everyone is influencing that journey. So it's important that everyone understands, firstly, who are your accounts that you're targeting, because if you look at the size of your business and the network that everybody in that business has, there's bound to be someone that knows someone within those accounts. So socialising that across the business is really important.
Yeah. So just to give the panel here a little bit of context for who we have in the room, can you raise your hand if you're already doing account-based marketing as part of your day job? Yep. Can you raise your hand if you are a business owner and you're thinking about account-based or business owner that's just educating yourself? Yep. If you are a practicing marketer, as in an existing employed practicing marketer in another field that you're here to learn about account-based marketing because you think it's important. Yep. And if you're a young marketer starting out that's looking to get into the industry, and so you're here to educate yourself. Yep. Okay.
Can I ask, are there any salespeople here that want to align with marketing? See, that's a really key thing. I think sales should be part of something like this as well. Oh, yourself? Brilliant.
Yeah, fabulous. So, Nat, do you want to unpack a little bit some of the different approaches? Let's talk go a little bit deeper and talk about some of the approaches that account-based marketers take, and different contexts for when you would use them.
Yeah, sure. So I follow a framework from ITSMA. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they're an organisation that actually coined the term account-based marketing about 20 years ago. So if you Google them, they've got like a handbook on ABM. And Bev Burgess was the one person that she trained me in ABM about 5 years ago. So I got certified. When I was looking for certification, AMI didn't have it at that stage. I'm not sure if you have it now, but...
it's about as good as it gets.
Okay. I think certification is something we should look at because there's more and more people looking to get certified. So using the ITSMA framework, they have 3 different approaches. And you've probably heard the strategic ABM, which is one-to-one, where you treat one account as a market of one. And then there's one to few, and that's just a cluster of accounts that have the similar business imperatives and pain points that you want to target. So that could be anywhere from 10 to 100 accounts in a particular industry. And there's one to many, which is 1,000 plus accounts. At SAS, what we focus on is really strategic ABM, and now we're looking to pilot some ABM light approaches to scale, because we're at the scaling phase. But we've seen value come out from our strategic ABM accounts as being an approach that is getting and bringing value back to the business, and sales are loving it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it's really easy to remember: one to one, one to few, one to many. And so at its core, adapting the approach and the level of, obviously, bespokeness doesn't really exist, but a personalisation, but that crafting something for each of those buckets to meet them where they're at.
Yeah, it sounds easy when you say it. It is not easy, because there's a lot of in-depth customer research that needs to be done, market research. And I think as marketers, a lot of people jump straight into planning campaigns without actually understanding what the customer strategy is. And in fact, I always say our customer should be part of developing our ABM strategy as well. So you've got customer, sales and marketing creating a flight path. So that's a terminology we use. That's a program we use to develop it could be a 6-month flight path, it could be a 12-month flight path in step with the customer, because they're going to tell you what they want, and that's what we look to plan.
Yeah.
Add to that, what I love about account-based marketing is it's the intersection between like the art and science. It's very much like you need great data to do account-based marketing well, and I guess to identify the accounts, and we use account-based score, so to identify and to do more of that programmatic, the one-to-many account-based marketing. And data is so important to identify which accounts have the highest propensity to buy, and we have incredibly sophisticated models that determine, based on website, based on employee size, which accounts are most likely to buy our product. And then we can do retargeting or targeting to them through display advertising. But the data underpins so much of that. But then it's also marrying the art of, what's the next best thing how we should engage with that account.
So let's talk data and analytics for a moment. And I think this would be an interesting question to ask each of you, how you employ data and analytics in your account-based marketing on a week-to-week basis.
So I think the KPI when it comes to ABM is quite interesting, and it's a lot of the metrics and measurements that traditional marketers use don't necessarily work in ABM. They're flawed, and if you're looking at those numbers, you could very easily, your campaigns could fail. I think in terms of the data that you look, Andrea, you mentioned that you do account scoring, which I'm guessing it leads to qualified accounts, right? So similar to MQLs, you have MQAs, marketing qualified accounts, some degree. So you do a lot of account scoring.
Yeah, we have account bands, so A, B, and C. And then D, E, and F, depending on whether it's a customer that we can sell more to, or if it's a prospect that we can newly engage. So, data.
Gotcha.
Well.
Yeah, and I think the other very important component when it comes to ABM is the KPI that you work. Now, ITSMA has the 3 Rs, which I personally find very hard to measure with ABM, the second tier and the lower tier. With strategic is a little bit easier, but which are reputation, relationship is the first one, reputation and revenue. But those are, I think those are probably the predominant KPIs that are measured in ABM, where in relationship you're measuring have they kind of interacted with you or not, and there are different definitions. Different companies would define them differently, but have they interacted with you or not? And you do that through, hey, have they visited our website? Have they looked at our emails? Is there something that we can show that they have had some sort of interaction with us, right? Fantastic. Extracting that data from your EDM, marketing automation tools, CRM, your website, all of that data helps to progress that. And probably the second stage that we see there's a lot of data being used is from the CRM, where you establish the reputation. How many people from that account have you touched in the past, whatever period it is? How many people from your organization have a relationship with someone from there? When was the last time? What is the recency, basically? So that comes in the reputation, and revenue is probably the easiest one to quantify, to measure.
Yeah, sure.
But there are different metrics different models to look at. Demand Base has one, Engage.io has one. It's a new space, and a lot of people are coming with their own models.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's some of the KPIs and data, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And when you answer, Nat, about data and analysis and how you use that, it'd be really, I think, interesting to unpack how much of that is through your marketing automation and your CRM, and how much is the human element of the analysis, because being a data scientist, you could definitely speak to that.
Yeah, so that's why I love the research and picking at the data. SAS is a data and analytics company, so I can't escape it anyway. But we have a marketing sciences team globally and also here in Asia Pacific that allows us and develops metrics around things like digital footprint, interactions, touch points. So under the 3 R's, there might be 5 other metrics that say, what executive engagement have you had, reputations based on community engagement, the increase in percentage of people connecting to your community and so on. So the SAS being an organisation where we have our own marketing automation tool, we've got a customer 360 view of all our accounts. We're doing account scoring, and we drink our own champagne, really. We use our software to tell us what our customers look like. So we're lucky in that sense. And right now, all the information that we develop, internal and external data, we're working with the marketing sciences team to produce an ABM dashboard. And that dashboard is bringing information from our sales dashboards as well, because, of course, we can see movement on whether accounts are... How accounts are comparing to other accounts that aren't doing ABM. That's a good indicator to see whether things are working. So...
And you see a big difference?
We're starting to see a difference, definitely. But when we started the journey, everything was manual in an Excel spreadsheet, because with strategic ABM, you're not targeting thousands of people, which you can easily get through your system. You might target the top 50 executives in one account, and so you'll sort of like manually count that you've hit them and stick them in your Excel spreadsheet, and then you report the value back like that.
I think this is a really important aspect to cover, because especially considering the audience here, not everybody is doing enterprise level account-based marketing, and so really bringing it down to the human element and what does it look like with a spreadsheet is actually really useful for how they could engage a lot of these principles in their day-to-day work.
Yeah, I guess for us, it's the challenge is managing the data at 2 levels. You've got your account score, but then also it's the contact level with those key accounts. So we look at something that's account completeness score, because how many contacts do we have that we've engaged with in that account? What's the quality of the data in our CRM? We also obviously we've got Aliquot that we look at their behavioural data, so how many people have interacted with our EDMs and our website and all of that. And I guess it's important to keep sight of that and also share that back with sales, because they're not necessarily looking at that data at a contact level. They're just interested in the roll-up at the account level. But it's really managing those 2 tiers of account level data and like the account score that I spoke about, but then also your contact score and completeness of the data at a contact level.
And I think it's exciting when you show the salespeople the data and they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that contact existed, and oh, great, they're engaging with us. So that's providing value back to the sales organisation straight away when you're showing them the data too.
Yeah. Yeah,
this is a cool story. I attended a talk that Natalie was giving, right? Now, we all know that us marketers, we love tools, right? So every single time, the first question is, so what are the tools that you use? And you just mentioned that you've first of all you started with spreadsheets, but now it's SaaS. SaaS's own, So SaaS's own software that is doing building the dashboards. And I was at a talk that Natalie was giving, and there was this gentleman sitting in the front, and Natalie was talking about all these awesome things that they're doing, and he goes and like, so I just would like to know, what is the tool stack that you're using? And Natalie goes and gives the same answer that she did right now. She's like, we just build our own tools. And the guy was just like shattered because he was waiting for this gold of like, let me just write down what the tools are.
You can buy us if you want.
Exactly. So,
Selling.
So that was always awesome. But the other point that I would like to make is on the notion of tools. I think ABM became popular. We were talking with someone just earlier. That it got popular about 5-6 years ago, right? And the reason that it got popular was because of the VC money that got channeled into ABM, where Itzma had it around about 2004 or something like that was when they came up with it. Before 2015, where it get popular, there were really no tools for ABM. And still, there were a lot of companies who were doing ABM. So don't think that ABM is a tool game, because, but you are going to hear ABM from a lot of the tools that are out there in the market. So just be cognizant of that.
Kind of like CRM is more than the tool. It's more than the technology. It's actually the relationship. Yeah. Did you?
We still use spreadsheets for a lot of our ABM, and
gotta love a good spreadsheet.
Yeah, I mean, my background, was in marketing software to marketers, but it's what you do with it that counts, and it's understanding what you're trying, what problem you're trying to solve. Unless you can answer that, the tools aren't necessarily going to help you. So.
Yeah. So we're going to inject a couple of questions from the Slido, and the one that at the moment is upvoted the most with all of 2 votes is actually a really, really good question, and it plays into what we were just talking about, how it's not reliant on the tools necessarily. So in ABM, how do you identify the different stakeholders in the customer organisation and communicate to their unique needs and drivers? Anyone?
I've got an example, and I think I've shared this example with you, with a customer where we were just targeting the top 50 executives. And
this is one company.
This is the one enterprise company we deal with. So it's just the top 50 executives. And when I was telling field marketers, it's like, oh, God, that sounds boring. Anyway, so they had a specific need around a specific pain point that we researched. We understood their language. And we hired some actors to develop a 2-minute video that was talking to their particular needs, and there's animations, and the actor was, doing the real sales thing. We gave him the script, and within 48 hours, we turned around this great video, which was targeting the message of the customer and those executives that we were targeting, because we had profiled and researched what they were needing. We stuck that into a video brochure. Really cheap option, direct mail piece. Direct mail is not dead. And we sent those 50 brochures to those executives with that targeted messaging, and we got our MD to write a personalised letter. So we gave a script, and we personalised it with the account manager. For that person, again, it was a long, hard work, but sent it off, the video brochure, with the logo and everything, and we got a response back a week later from the CEO going, love our partnership, it's a 32-year journey, and about 3 weeks later they were presenting to the executives because there was specific messaging around this direct mail piece, which was a video brochure, which is so easy to create, and it was targeted, personalised, and just making sure I'm answering the question. Yeah, and we communicated to their unique needs and drivers.
Yeah.
Through a very simple, low budget.
Yeah, for us, I guess the example when I was at Responses, so marketing software to marketers, very busy time for our target audience was retail, and we wanted to do a campaign in the lead up to Christmas, and every retailer in Australia was flat out trying to build a Christmas campaign. But we wanted to get engagement, so we said, okay, everyone's flat out. We sent out direct mail, so a package with a caffeine hit. So we sent a keep cup, some coffee, some chocolates, and said, appreciate you guys are really busy right now, but let's connect in January when things quieten down for you. And the engagement from that, it wasn't, I guess, to a specific company, but a set of companies. And because it was targeted to their pain points at the right time, it's that, right message, right time, right audience. And the doors that opened off the back of that was phenomenal, just because it was really bespoke to
So an example of your one-to-few strategy. Yeah. Shahin, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think the question says identifying different stakeholders in the customer organization. How do you do that? I think the first thing that you got to understand is you have to understand your customer. So it's not that ABM comes and tells you how to understand your customer. You need to have done business with those type of organizations so that you know, hey, when we go into for an RFP, or we're just bidding, or we're trying to open a conversation, the people who are going to be making decisions are X, Y, and Z. That's the most important thing. Now, you got to keep in mind there's going to be multiple people. Especially in B2B setup, the average is 5.6 individuals that are going to be responsible for making a decision. In more complex sale, that number could go up to 12 to 17 individuals responsible for a decision in B2B in complex sale. So you have to have that knowledge. The business needs to have that knowledge of who you're going to be dealing with, which makes it a little bit harder if you're a startup and you're just launching a product. So having that understanding beforehand, and if you don't have it, you go to your existing customers. Let's say the target market are CIOs and CEOs and probably someone, maybe an IT manager that you're targeting. What you want to do is you want to go to your existing customers and just say, hey, I want to have a 30-minute chat. Tell me about your problems before dealing with us. Tell us about the situation currently now, in order to get the lexicon from your customers, first of all, because it is the most powerful thing that you can use on similar organizations. But that's how I would go about it. First of all, you need to know your customer and who are the decision makers. The decision makers, the detractors, and the influencers in the organization that you work with. So people who are going to say no to you, people who are going to say yes to you, and know their pain points from your existing customers in order to go and acquire new ones. They most probably are going to have the same problems as some of the other organizations if you have filtered them properly, if that makes sense.
Can I just add, though, as part of our ABM strategy for enterprise, it's a mandate that our account teams have to have an account plan, and within an account plan there has to be a stakeholder profile map. So they have to map out all the executives that they want to target, and then we go to things like LinkedIn. We use TechTarget as well to try and identify other stakeholders and build the map and then understand it. So it's a mandatory thing to have a stakeholder map for us in large accounts, yeah.
I was going to say, it's also being scrappy too, like it's working with the business development team to enable them to proactively look on LinkedIn to identify who those key stakeholders are, because it's not always the contacts that are engaging through your EDMs or your website, but enabling them to proactively use the searches on LinkedIn and identify who those stakeholders are.
And stakeholders change all the time, so we mandate that they have to update it every 3 months. Whether they do it's a different question.
Yeah, and that's an interesting question, because it's really two questions in one. And one is understanding who they are, and then the other is crafting the communication to that. So you can't have the communication without that in-depth knowledge. And on the other hand, you can have the knowledge, but then without the execution, it just sits there dormant. And one of the interesting conversations that we had, Andrea, in prepping for this was really the application of 3 core areas that that span the market, the traditional discipline of a marketer, the timeless principles involving strategy, creativity, and the data and analysis. And so we've spoken a fair bit at length about the role of the data and analysis in the ABM side of things, and I think we're pretty clear, and we will unpack a little bit more about strategy. But then this is a perfect example of where you can bring your creativity into that as to how you are going to actually go and it's not the tool, it's not the cookie cutter approach. Would you have any comment on that? Like, have you ever done any, like your example of the coffee and chocolates is using your creativity in that space?
Yeah, it's a fine balance too of using that data without creeping people out too. I guess account-based marketer in my team has done some campaigns in the past where you kind of stalk them on the internet to find out what their preference for wine is, and doing a really custom DM piece to send out to them. But it can go too far. And a recent piece that I actually received was I received a dozen cupcakes to our office saying happy anniversary, and it was my 12-month anniversary at DocuSign. And then it was a message saying, happy anniversary, see you on LinkedIn at 4, and I had no idea who these cupcakes came from. And everyone was like, okay, who is this? Who's your secret admirer?
Do you hire them?
But then I received a message on LinkedIn at 4 o'clock from an agency, and it all became obvious. But I think it's balancing that, personalisation and the great creative and custom content, but it's really a fine balance.
Cupcakes.
Yeah.
We have cupcake stories as well.
I know. So I think let's shift. Let's shift out and have a bit of a macro view around ABM in the context of the whole business. And one of the questions here is, how did you convince the business that ABM was not just a marketing thing? And I think that's something that most people here are probably going to be interested, because they're either a business and want to hear the answer, or they're already convinced about ABM and want to convince someone else. So who wants to lead us off on that one?
I can quickly go. I think the best way to do that is to get buy-in from immediate manager, and then find a salesperson who's willing to work with you, and do a very, very small pilot and show results, and then show the results to the higher management. It's very hard to argue against it if you've done it right. That's my 2 cents.
That's exactly how I started out with the pilot, and I didn't market it. I had the salesperson selling it to the salespeople, and now we have created short videos of our salespeople giving testimonials about ABM. So we don't market it; we get our salespeople to market it for us.
Yeah. And how much? So when you started, did you start with blank canvas, and then obviously the knowledge that you gleaned through studying along the way, and then did you develop your own methodologies within the organisation that became standard practice? Yeah.
Yeah, I did, and then I've used the blended approach of ITSMA, because that's got a good, clear framework, but also there's another serious decisions have got a good framework too. So I use a blended approach, and now we have our own SaaS framework, which is influenced by those organisations.
So someone coming into the organisation can pick that up and run with it because there's a blueprint there.
Yeah, and we've got onboarding for ABMers and marketing people that upskill in it. So It's all part of the journey.
So in convincing your organisation or understanding how that might work for your organisation, obviously there's going to be that upfront piece about, it's not a cookie cutter thing, it's going to be about working out how it's going to suit your organisation as opposed to just a particular set of principles.
Yeah, I think it's a long education process with sales. I think having shared targets is a great start to educate the sales team that we're, as marketers, we're there to help and build this together, and it's in our collective interest. But then also, I think, finding your advocates within the business and really showcasing the results that they've seen to help get others on board.
And in your experience, any of you, how long does adoption of ABM take to see results? The million-dollar question.
Well, you have your quick wins up front and you show the value, but we've got a 3-year rolling plan of ABM. So starting with the pilot phase and the build phase, we're at the standardising phase and scaling phase. So it's an ongoing journey, and you have to keep re-educating And I don't know, as a marketer, I say you got to repeat it 12 times before it sticks.
Yeah, it's how long's a piece of string. But I think some quick wins are potentially with the programmatic account-based marketing that we've done. By doing some display ads targeting those A and B accounts, we can show the sales team just who in those accounts has engaged with us, which they are always surprised, nicely surprised to see. So I think that's a good way of showing some quick wins, but also just, understanding who they're trying to engage with and building those common goals.
I think it's safe to say, do not make promises of anything under 6 months. It does take time. Very comfortable to say 9 months for ABM at a strategic level and and one to few level to get results.
Yeah. That's really helpful, really good. Kind of building a digital footprint or content marketing. Anyone who promises you that it's going to take you a month is not realistic. So it's the same very much for account-based marketing. Yeah. So, Shahin, what are some, because you're doing this day in and day out as well as an agency, what are some of the biggest misconceptions and fallacies that people come to you, businesses come to you with in their understanding of ABM that you see that you have to correct on a regular basis?
I think one of the things is that ABM is for expansion or working with existing customers. ABM has, you could probably use it for 5 different objectives, and I hopefully remember all 5 of them now, and I don't repeat what I did at the beginning. You go through ABM for account expansion, meaning that you have a customer and you want to increase share of wallet. So how much money they're basically paying you, and you want to expand that. You want to cross-sell, upsell, or you want to expand to different buying centers. You want to get net new accounts. You can use it to reduce churn. You can use it to, here we go, expansion, net new accounts, reduction in churn, pipeline acceleration. So that's another objective that you could use ABM for, so that you've landed the account. You want to push them. If your typical sales cycle is 12 months, 9 months, whatever it is, you want to accelerate that process and you want to close it, so ABM can be used in that process as well, and also for partnership establishment. Those are the 5 components that you could use it. One of the misconceptions is that I hear quite a lot is that, ABM is just for account expansion. Therefore, it's not really even a marketing thing. It's really a sales thing, and or maybe customer success. Mm-hmm. That's one of the issues. The other one is not running a pilot. It's these are very complex campaigns that you're running. And the cupcake example, that it might look simple on the surface that they send a box of cupcakes and they've hit you up on LinkedIn. There's a lot of work that goes into that. A lot. That's just tip of the iceberg. So the concept that we're going to go and we're going to conquer the world, that's another component. And I think lastly, what is really important is, for some of us marketers, we gotta put our ego aside and realize that sales is pivotal in this process, and we're really here to give superpowers to salespeople with ABM. Yes, there are a lot of things that we're involved with, and there are a lot of things that we're going to be doing in terms of IP targeted ads and other account targeted ads, some of the collaterals that we create. But really, it's like making that sales system and taking it from a pistol and giving them a bazooka. Really, that's what it is. And I think sometimes we're very proud as marketers, and we're like, that's sales job. I don't want to touch that. Just like sales does that as well. And I think that's one of the most important things that we got to put aside.
Yeah.
When we go into ABM.
Yeah. So, how much do you feel is for someone who's, let's say, full-time role would be an account-based marketer? What percentage? And I'm springing this question on you, but what percentage would you see as strategy, and what percentage tactical?
I think that's actually another good point that you've raised. Some companies go and hire and bring somebody and say, hey, you're going to do account-based marketing. That's going to fail. Because if you remember earlier I mentioned, account-based marketing needs to be a organizational-wide initiative rather than, hey, it's the marketing department's job. So the organization needs to start. In fact, you're starting to hear the term account-based everything in the US quite a lot. People are moving away from account-based marketing because this has a connotation that it's just marketing, right? So that's the challenging part, that you got to really understand that it's a company-wide initiative. It touches sales, it touches marketing, it touches customer success, it touches how executives work. I mean, Natalie was saying how your executives were crafting letters to the account that you were targeting.
Yeah, so I call it a business partnership with everyone in the organisation. It's not a marketing discipline, it's a business partnership with sales. So I get everyone. I get pre-sales, education, customer success to be part of the bigger overall program, and every tactic or strategy there is part of it. So it's a business partnership, it's not a marketing thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'd add to that, it's education and enablement as equal parts, strategy and execution. So it's, yeah.
Coming back to your question, I
Yeah.
would say it's a 50-50. If you do not take into consideration, if you do not do the proper research on the accounts that you're going after, if you have not built the proper ideal customer profile, if your personas are weak, if the campaign, that the messaging of the campaign that you're going to create is weak, and if the outreach, whatever shape or form you're doing it through multiple different channels, is also not finely tuned, your campaign is not going to go forward. So it's really important to get those strategy component right. So it will be 50%. Also, the accounts that you're targeting are extremely important to pick the right accounts. Again, based on your ICP, ideal customer profile, persona, very important who you're targeting. So you have to make sure you get that right before you go into engagement, because especially if it's a pilot project that you're running and you haven't done that work, it's going to fail. And guess what? There is going to be no support from the organization to further the ABM initiative.
And all that strategy and tactics has to be done in collaboration with sales. You can't sit in a siloed spot and develop it. So we have cadence meetings every week with sales.
And I'd go as far to say it's way higher. It's like 80% strategy, 20% execution, because there's so much learning and iteration of each campaign that you execute. It's okay, what do we learn from that? Where do we go from here? So yeah, can't underestimate the amount of
So you added a couple of great words into there, is in addition to strategy and tactical, was learning, strategy, enablement, and tactical. Is that right?
Yeah, and iteration, I guess, how do we evolve this for the next time we do a campaign?
Yeah, fabulous. So anything more to say on that? Otherwise, I'll get back to here. From your experience, what revenue customer, revenue per customer, sorry, I don't have my glasses, justifies the extra cost of ABM? I'm not quite sure.
Anything under $20,000 or $30,000 per account, per customer, I would think you would have a very hard time justifying ABM, right? You can start looking at programmatic for some of those, but it's going to be hard to justify those personalized, targeted campaigns for anything under that. In my experience, it might be different.
I'm just not sure if I understand the question.
Like how much
does someone going to be needing to spend with you to warrant putting all of that resourcing into ABM?
Okay, so I suppose the accounts we're targeting, we're trying to get $10 million deals. So the ABM that we're doing...
ABM on steroids.
Yeah, it's ABM on steroids, but, we're trying to get a $10 million deal or build that pipeline. Spending $5,000 is not that hard to justify
per
if you're going to get per account. So, and I'm going to reference ITSMA. They've done a benchmark study on what organisations are starting to spend on ABM, and it's 29% of their marketing budget. So for us, that's a lot. I think I get this much of the marketing budget right now, but I've got a business case in there to start investing more in the ABM. Yeah.
What
I think
about?
I answered the question. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Maybe in the context of your one-to-one versus one-to-few,
Yeah,
one-to-many methodology, obviously there's going to be different hierarchies. So to Shahin's point, for not less than $20,000, $30,000, where would you see it for each of those categories and ABM?
I think it's one of those, if you're targeting enterprise businesses, you can't afford to not be doing ABM because your competitors likely are. But I also think it's a matter of looking at the lifetime value of that customer and not just as a transaction, because the cost to retain a customer once you've earned the partnership with them is much lower than to acquire a new customer. So if that's a strategic account for you, that that account you should be working with, and there's business value there, then I think however long that takes, there's obviously got to be payoff, but you can't afford not to be in some way doing ABM.
Maybe just to put a little bit of context in this as well, there was a study done, I think it was in 2018. The median account spend for strategic ABM, now these are US numbers, and obviously US deals are larger than Australian deals, but in strategic ABM, the median spend per account was $59,000 per account. That's the amount of money that marketing was spending per account to land them. That's not the average, that's not the deal that they're getting. So they're spending about $60,000 to land the deal per account.
And that's quite cheap if you consider it's $20 million revenue.
That's median, it's median.
And what you have to consider in that is what you're not spending on other accounts that would otherwise be a waste of time. It's not that spray and pray or batch and blast, that you're sort of doing a non-tailored approach to target a whole range of accounts. It's spending your budget more wisely on focused accounts.
Exactly. It's like the inversion of this the traditional funnel where you've got thousands coming in and then you're whittling them down. And creating a strategy that creates that flow. It's like starting with the end in mind and creating a whole marketing strategy around that one that you want to land, which from a marketer's perspective is pretty exciting.
Don't get me started with inbound. I think inbound is it for B2B.
Really?
I
All
really
right,
think
let's
so.
spice it up.
Yeah, I think so.
So unpack that controversial comment there, Shahin.
Well, inbound, been very popular for about 15 years. Obviously, again, popularized by VC money, especially poured into HubSpot.
Yep.
There are challenges with inbound. One, it measures leads.
Yep.
Two, it measures one lead. CRMs are designed for leads. We just earlier talked about average B2B deal is 5.6 person that you need to influence. So when you're looking at it at a lead perspective, it's so difficult to make a decision. The space is extremely competitive to get your content shown.
Yep.
If you're putting content out there and you're thinking about whether it's SEO, a lot of the big players spend millions of dollars on SEO. It's very hard to get your content out there. And on every single piece that you really want to become an authority, there is so much material that people can pick that it's very difficult to be heard. So, the other thing is you have a lot of wastage.
Yep.
You have tremendous amount of wastage in B2B where the right model is to be super focused. So I think those four elements, just inbound is.
I think that's a topic for a future event. What do you reckon, guys? So turning this big, meaty marketing ship into the harbour so that we can somehow work towards wrapping up and landing this thing. Let's talk about some of the skills in the actual person that you look for of what makes a great ABM marketer.
Yeah, I think it's first and foremost the relationships. We've all spoken about getting sales on board. I think a great account-based marketer needs to find advocates within the business and partner with sales and forge those relationships. I think the ability to think strategically and understand the customer or the prospect's needs is really important. And also, I guess, sort of project manage, because ABM again isn't that sort of one touch. It's a multiple, there's multiple facets to it, so it's juggling those different competing priorities.
Yeah, I'm happy to share a job description that I've developed, because we are constantly upskilling our marketers to be ABMers. But I did hear a quote again from Bev Burgess that being an ABMer is like being a mini CMO. You're orchestrating and facilitating an organisation or an account or your customers from sales to education, from acquisition to adoption.
Yeah.
Really, the whole customer journey.
So for someone who's a great, competent generalist marketer who's looking to sink their teeth into something where they can really grow, would you say?
Yeah, I think if you've got a good sales approach, if you've experienced sales as well and you've come from sales, it's a great natural area to go into as well.
Yeah, fabulous. Qualities, Andrea, that you think would make a great ABM marketer?
I think also problem solving is another one that's really important. Being able to think creatively, as we spoke about. I know, being able to understand the data is important, but I think being able to just think, put yourself in the customer's shoes and really think outside the box of what a traditional campaign would look like.
Yeah, great. So just last couple of questions. What's your biggest learning so far in your ABM journey?
Sorry, it has to be me? No, I mean, you guys can go.
Don't be creepy. It's balancing, just that level of detail that is that you're adding value. Why should this prospect engage with you? What value do you deliver to them, and really putting yourself in their shoes.
I think my biggest learning was be a bit bold in how you want to approach your programs, and I've had a really supportive manager where I took initiatives to him and he was like, yeah, let's go for it, and we've been successful. So being bold with sales. Yeah.
That's great.
I think on the note of being bold, humor, I think, is an amazing tool, and it is such a underused element of marketing.
Yes.
That we've seen just amazing results from it, because guess what? The CIO also watches Netflix, is also aware of a lot of pop references, and they're going to be able to relate to a lot of jokes that you crack. And one of the things that we've tried to do is we've tried to see how we can inject humor into everything that we do, to an extent that Alex knows, we've spoke to comedians of how can we run a campaign, right? And how can we inject humor into this? Because when you do that, we've had situations where we had called someone who we targeted. We're not going to say where we got their phone numbers. We've called someone who we targeted, and they've picked up the phone and they said, "Oh my God, did you send that thing to me? Are you kidding me? I really hope this campaign is working so well for you. And you know what? Just for sending that to me, you got 30 seconds. Come on, pitch me what you're going to have." Like, we literally have those recordings.
That's awesome.
So I think injecting humor and being bold, because one of the other things is I was in a workshop today, for this whole week actually, and one of the things that you see is in B2B, we tend to be very bland. Yeah. We tend to be extremely bland because it's safe. It's because we're dealing maybe with enterprise, we're dealing with big organizations, and we're very, very reserved to be bold and to be really out there and say something that people are like, I haven't heard that. But guess what? When you do that, when you are bold, people are going to go and say, I haven't heard of that. That's going to pique my attention. That's going to grab my attention. So I think that's been one of the very rewarding learnings that we've had to have humor in
Love
what you
it.
do.
So that we might be seeing a job advertisement for a CHO at some stage, a Chief Humour Officer at the.
Absolutely.
But in all seriousness, I love that you raised that point because it's absolutely true, and it is a thing. There's a great book by Marty Wilson, More Funny, More Money, and I must lend it to you.
I'm going to go check it out.
But talking about how humour is a fabulous door opener to relationship and trust, and ultimately that is a sales relationship. So, all about relationship. So, yes, final question. And I'm sorry, if we didn't get to your question, feel free to approach the panel afterwards. I'm sure they will very gladly share their wisdom with you. But for those wanting to, just to get started, what is a great piece of advice that you'd like to leave them with?
Find a passionate salesperson that you can start the journey with, and then build your own credibility by getting certified initially and just understanding the framework.
And when you say certified, is there any particular place that you recommend?
So look, ITS may only offer it in the US. They don't. I keep saying to them, bring it down to Asia Pacific, but they just don't. It's very US centric. But Serious Decisions have online certification, so they've got their methodology. Very similar framework. It's just all terminology that's different, but you'll get the understanding of it. So, but maybe AMI, mate.
Yeah, maybe. Andrea, best piece of advice for those looking to start out with ABM?
I think really partner with sales. I think that's key for account-based marketing, and don't underestimate the value of direct mail. I think it works really well.
Yeah, I think and it just really builds on the point. It's learning. It's a very new field, and you can become an expert in it by doing one course, because there's not a lot of information out there about it. There are not a lot of people who are aware of what it is, account-based marketing, especially in the Australian market, and you can very quickly become kind of like an expert in that space. Just to build on what Natalie said, in terms of education, there is a great introductory course on a platform called cxl.com. If you're interested, drop me a note. We might be able to give you a discount. I think they're a bit expensive. They're like $700 or something, but great platform. I know the guy who teaches it as well. He's extremely knowledgeable about ABM. So cxl.com, check their ABM course. Demandbase has 3 courses that are 2 of them are online. The third one you got to go to San Francisco. So Demandbase, great platform to get certified as well. And it's Serious Decision, yeah, for sure. ITSMA has a book on it. That is great as well. I think you have some resources that you wanted to share as well.
Yeah. I've just got the benchmark for 2019 on ABM, which I can share with you to pass on to everyone else, because it gives you a really good understanding of ABM, how it's playing in the market, and how it's providing value back. So happy to share things through Slack.
Yeah, we're gonna. So we are. I mean, we could talk about Slack, but if you go to Slack, growthcolony.org/Slack, we can share it over there.
Sure.
And everybody can get access to it.
There's a lot of resources out there, and self-learning was the first thing that I had to. I got the ABM book for dummies originally.
Yeah,
there is one.
That's the journey of a marketer in our day and age, is continually developing oneself, upskilling, finding new opportunities. And if you're a marketer and you're finding it difficult to get traction in your market, in your career, and you've been listening to the guy saying, "Wow, I could." Really see myself doing that, then the field in Australia at the moment is absolutely ripe for, people who can excel in this area. Or even if you're a senior practicing marketer and wanting to go for bigger opportunities or bigger jobs, and, to be able to tie your performance to revenue is massive. And I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of what we were looking at today. And obviously for businesses, this is useful because if you're hiring account-based marketers, you've been able to get a snapshot as to what kind of people are really going to help take your own revenue and sales to the next level. And that's why, this is really meaty marketing stuff, but you can see that behind it is a lot of revenue and a lot of great outcomes. And so it's a fabulous opportunity. So on that note, any last parting final thought to our wonderful crew here tonight? Shahin? We'll start with Andrea then while Shahin's thinking.
Well, I was going to say find a mentor. I've learned a lot through mentors in my career. Identify someone, even if it's just reaching out on LinkedIn to someone who's already working in account-based marketing, I think is a great way to just get an understanding for what it involves.
Nat?
Oh my God, I've got so many I can give out. I just get ABM under your belt and just learn about it. Yeah, I think because it's getting hotter and hotter in the market, and since I put it in my title on LinkedIn, I'm getting lots of calls.
One other thing is start small. It doesn't have to be, multiple accounts. It can be one. Like start with one account, which is the most strategic account you want to focus on, and test it, see how it goes.
Yeah, start small, absolutely. And even if you want to target 25 accounts, don't make it complicated. Do a handwritten note and send it to the person, to one person who's going to be a decision maker. It's so easy to completely overwhelm yourself with ABM. It is amazingly simple to do that. So keep it super simple for the first one that you're doing, and just build on top of those learnings. So
I have to unpack that, because I know all the audience. I know the question that's most of you are asking in your head, which is, Shahin, tell me a few more practical steps like that I could employ to get started with ABM. So you talk about handwritten notes, because not everybody here is landing $10 million deals, but they want to start exercising that muscle of ABM. What are some of the things that they could do in the next week or two? Anyone?
An example, when I started with one account, we just did a highly targeted executive newsletter to that one account and put a very relevant customer success story in there. And the one person that we wanted to target reached out to us. So it was very simple. It was a newsletter. It was highly personalised and targeted, and we got what we wanted. That was easy. It cost nothing.
Yep.
And did it in about a few days.
I would say get very clear about your ICP. So sit down. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just say, what is the firmographic of the companies that I want to target? Right? Firmographic is like demographic for companies. So what is their size? What are their, how many people? Is it revenue important? Is, the kind of technology they use important, which becomes technographic? Just maybe 5 to 10 lines about that company, so bullet points. Identify who those are, and then say, who is the person that is responsible, who's the most important person, the main decision maker that I need to target, and then who are the next 2 people after him or her. Have those identified, take that main decision maker, right, and create a sequence. So say, all right, I'm going to send a handwritten letter to this individual telling him about the problems that we solve, okay? So write that up, put it in the mail, send it through, and then say, I'm going to make an email after that to say a follow-up on what I said. One of the things that we do is we get a green envelope, right? And we have our letter and all that stuff, and we put it in there. We add a little bit of flair into the letter, but we send it out. The next email that the person gets from us, the title says the ugly green envelope, right? So it piques their interest. They know what we're talking about, so they will open it up. But create a sequence. I'm going to send an email next. I'm going to make a call. I'm going to send another 2 emails, and I'm going to make a call. That you can just, and do maybe 2 calls at the end. That could be your sequence that you run, and do that for 25 companies. That's the first campaign that I would do.
Awesome. Well, on that note, I just want to thank this wonderful, generous panel. I just want to give I want you guys to give these guys such a round of applause and thanks, because not only did they come and tell you about their life and their work and what they do, they really dug deep and gave you great principles that you can apply to your business, your career, like career shifting, money making, revenue generating, opportunity opening, advice. So thank you so much, guys. You did amazing. And
Thank you, Nina.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you.
It was an honour. And you guys did great as well, sitting through that. I mean, we really just geek out on this stuff. So it was a pleasure having you tonight. And Shahin, who's closing up tonight? Yeah? Aladdin, thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much, Nina, for moderating. And thank you guys for sharing your knowledge. I think we got a lot out of it. Even though I work for a company that is in ABM, I got a lot from you two, Natalie and Andrea, so thank you so much. If you guys want to check us out on Slack, if you want to continue the conversation, head over there. We do post a lot of interesting content. I think Natalie's going to be sharing some content there, so definitely don't want to miss out on that. So we'll see you guys next time. One more round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode. If you enjoyed it, we'd love it if you rate and review it on Apple Podcasts or your platform of choice. And for more B2B growth content, check out our website, growthcolony.org. Looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have a great day.